How bummed are we about a two-game sweep at the hands of the Brewers? A lot, a little, and with the reeling Rangers coming to town, now what? We're going to dig into those feelings. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Ward, and you can find me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE, though I don't think I would. But with that said, thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, and of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please feel free to be active in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or watching us live when we're doing some kind of live show. Those comments come straight to us. We're happy to answer them on the air or after the fact, whatever you want to do. But anyway, if you want to hit me up with questions at Brandon_Warner at Locked On Twins, we'd be more than happy to use those on a regular basis. Also, 2 Locked On Twins post-game minutes after each or pretty much each game. We will break down the happenings of those 9 innings, as well as hit you with a stat you won't hear anywhere else. Now, before we get to today's program, this episode is brought to you by Bunches. Download the Bunches app today. And when you do, our friends at Bunches have featured the Locked On MLB Bunch in the Discover tab. You can also click the link in the description or show notes, whether you're on YouTube or podcasting on an audio platform. And you can join the Locked On MLB Bunch community today. So check the show notes wherever you're listening or watching, or just download the app and you can find us under the Discover tab. Twins Rangers open a 4-game set Thursday at Target Field. 6:10 first pitch. It's going to be Pablo Lopez against Andrew Heaney. We will be breaking down Heaney in a fairly good bit of detail here in the final segment of the show. But rest assured, the Twins will have that weird, goofy, funky versus a lefty lineup that will cause people to absolutely melt down when Jordan Luplow is hitting in the top third of the order. Kyle Farmer's in there, Donovan Solano, etc., etc. But you can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. Now, we are going to dive into a little news du jour before we get started. A lot of these things are either Twins adjacent or Twins related altogether, but the first one is not. It's a little more iconic, though. Steven Strasburg announcing on Thursday that he will be retiring from the major leagues. Strasburg pitched 1 time in 2022, 5 times in 2021, and 2 times in 2020. So since that magical 2019 season, which saw the Nationals win the World Series, come back from an absolutely dreadful start, since then, Strasburg has thrown 31 of the third innings with a 6.89 ERA in 8 starts, and it's all over, which is a real shame. May actually be older than people realize. I was surprised to see that he turned 35 in July. Again, the math makes sense. The math works. And he's also in the 4th year of his $245 million contract. So it'll be interesting to see how that money all shakes out, because retiring early and not getting the rest of that bag, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we'll see what happens there. But the extension officially kicked in 2020. He will finish his career with a 6.89 ERA and 8 starts since the extension kicked in. So real shame, but again, glad to see he got a ring, got to stay with the team that drafted him number 1 overall, and that's about the best you can say for this. It's going to be crazy. We're going to talk about a guy who was what might have been, who started 247 games with a Baseball Reference WAR of over 30. So if you could be a what might have been, but still be that good, that's obviously a pretty good sign. Also, Twins related, White Sox cleaning house, firing not only Rick Hahn, but Kenny Williams. So basically the mentor and the protege. A lot of White Sox fans were initially pretty cathartic about this, just really souring on that front office, not spending money. Their attempts to sign guys like Yonder Alonso to entice Manny Machado not working. There's just no leadership right now. Basically, it's a Jerry Reinsdorf production, And for now, they seem likely to go with Chris Getz, so going internal with their power structure moving forward. They brought Tony La Russa back into the fold as a consultant. So a lot of this, the talk around this is kind of the more things change, the more they stay the same. So we will see where that goes. But until Jerry sells, it's going to be hard to really feel good about the direction this team is heading. Certainly, Luis Robert has been phenomenal, but Eloy Jimenez has had some comments of late that maybe suggest he's not long for there. Tim Anderson looks absolutely cooked. And beyond that, they just, Lance Lynn was a mess. Michael Kopech didn't take that step forward. Dylan Cease can't do it by himself. And so they traded Giolito to the Angels, which is a whole other story coming up here in just a second. But yeah, we'll see what direction the White Sox go from this point. But honestly, it feels to me like it's going to be more of the same if they hire Chris Getz or someone else internally. Also, too, sounds like Dayton Moore, who is a longtime executive for the Royals, might be involved. So we'll see what happens there, too. But again, that would not be all that encouraging because Moore would be, kind of going on that retread pile. Getz is part of a dysfunctional internal crew. So we'll see. But I think that a lot of that enthusiasm the White Sox fans had was tempered pretty much immediately finding out that Chris Getz was going to be the interim. Horrible news breaking overnight. Shohei Ohtani, excuse me, I get it wrong every time. Diagnosed with a tear in his UCL, will not pitch again. Still not sure if he'll need surgery, so I don't know if it'll be a rest and rehab situation, a brace situation, a Tommy John situation. But he will not pitch again this year. Going to be curious to see what next year looks like for free agency. If it's going to be sign a 1-year bridge deal where he only hits and takes a year off from the arm thing. Does he rehab and try to pitch right away? We'll see. There's a lot of balls in the air now, though, as far as if this will cost him multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, because, even if he signs for $500 million this offseason, there's going to be people saying, well, he had 70 on the table per year, 700 total, if he doesn't get hurt, which is probably realistic, probably true. But at the same time, too, I don't think he's going to accept the qualifying offer. I did see somebody say that. But even if you sign him to a 1-year deal worth, let's say 40-ish million as just a hitter, or 30-ish million just as a hitter, knowing he won't pitch, what does that look like? What team is the favorite for that? Is it back with the Angels? Is it, going someplace where maybe the stadium's a little more conducive to hitting so that those numbers spike a bit? Is it a team that's going to have good pitching development to try rest and rehab him? And does he really want to rest and rehab his arm with a team he's only going to spend a year with? So there's going to be a lot of different things at play here with Ohtani, but not the least of which is frustrating too is that Mike Trout is going back on the injured list too. So Trout left with a wrist issue, and so he is going to be, out. Who knows if he's out the rest of the season or not. He had just returned though on Tuesday, and then just can't swing a bat right now, and broken hamate is obviously not ideal, and he's just still kind of coming back from that. So he's only about 6-7 weeks clear of surgery. So he's still within that initial timetable that they had in July. Of ways people talk about that too, because you rush him back to try save a season, and then the season goes sideways like that. Do you sit him out the rest of the year? Did you rush him back against his wishes? There's going to be a lot of things to keep track of. But yeah, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani both injured or dealing with injuries. So again, certainly a source of frustration. Also, Guardians Dodgers suspended yesterday, some rain. So Twins only lost a half game to them, although that game is up and running now and in a delay, but the Dodgers are up. So we'll see if the Twins end up being cost anything due to their sweep at the hands of the Brewers, which we'll break down here in depth in just a second. But yeah, we'll see. Guardians still facing the Dodgers, who are, arguably the most difficult team in the NL this side of the Braves. So good to see. Good to see the Twins are done with the Dodgers, whereas the Guardians are still just kind of going through that. Now, before we hit the break, we will come back and talk about the Twins-Brewers sweep, only 2-game sweep. But before that, a year ago today, Twins fall to the Astros 5-3. Twins fall to 62-60. Astros improved 80-45. It was Framber Valdez out-dueling, if you could call it that, Dylan Bundy, who went 5 innings with 0 strikeouts. Michael Fulmer gives up 3 earned in his inning of relief, and Devin Smeltzer closes it out with a couple of scoreless innings. But Twins couldn't solve the riddle that was Framber Valdez. Fall to 60-62, and it was part of a 6-game losing streak. Let's talk about our friends over at Bunches. Bunches sponsors the program today. We mentioned them at the outset as well. But if you want to hang out with us, talk with us on Locked On Twins or Locked On MLB, this app is called Bunches, and you got to check it out. It's a new app built just for sports fans where you can chat sports in real time. Click the link in the show notes description, to join the app and go to the Apple App Store and download Bunches now. I'm telling you, you're going to love the conversations with other Locked On sports fans. So it's a free app where sports fans can chat. Locked On MLB is on Bunches. Look under the featured section right now, and you can find us there. We can chat with your favorite team, keep up with latest MLB news. It's all you can want as an MLB fan. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, hit us up on Bunches. Post about it, chat about it, share it, all that fun stuff. You can chat about your team all day, every day, and you can come hang out with me. I'm checking it out too, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the team, whether you're commenting on there or on YouTube. You guys drive the show where it's going. You're the lifeblood. So download the Bunches app today, and when you do, our friends at Bunches have featured the Locked On MLB Bunch in the Discover tab. You can also click the link in our show notes or our description and join the Locked On MLB Bunch community today. So thanks for making us your first listen every day. If you're an everydayer, make sure to check out the show on Friday. We have former Twins farm system outfielder Lane Adams. And the fun thing about Lane, the thing that we're going to talk about, is summer camp 2020. So when there was no minor league season, but the Twins had to keep minor league players prepared across the river in St. Paul. Now, this is before that was their AAA affiliate besides, which, we'll maybe get into that as well. Lane and a bunch of other guys were over there training, basically just staying ready for whoever the Twins might need, whether there was a COVID-related incident or, injuries, any number of reasons that they would need a player but could not go to the minor leagues where they were playing to get them. So they'd keep a stash of guys available at St. Paul. So we'll talk about that. Twins Rangers opening a 4-game set on Thursday at Target Field. It's Pablo Lopez and Andrew Heaney. So again, Southpaw going for the Rangers. Don't be surprised when Jordan Luplow and Kyle Farmer and Donovan Solano are hitting higher up in the order than you think they should. It's a 6:10 first pitch. Catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with Corey and Danny with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. We're going to take a quick look at the series. Twins dropped 2 in a row to the Brewers. Obviously frustrating in the sense that, the Guardians are still sputtering, and you really, I think as fans want to see the Twins just kind of step down on the accelerator and finish off this division. The odds and everything saying 85, 90%. But that level of confidence isn't going to be there when the lead is 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 5 games. The closer gets to double digits, obviously fans will feel more comfortable, but really we're just getting into, it's a numbers game, 30 some odd games left. And if a team's got to be 5 games better than you, all you got to do is go 500 to make it really tough on that team. So again, Twins dropping both to the Brewers. Both I would consider competitive games, especially since it took a 5 spot to beat the Twins in the 6th of the opening game. Stop us if you've heard this before. Twins hold a lead, but ultimately, or have a lead, but can't hold it. Bailey Ober battled. He gave up the first inning homer to Willie Adames, but was otherwise solid. Came out after 78 pitches, which a lot of things going on with Ober. He's already over a career high innings pitched. He only pitched like 50 innings last year. So they're really managing him carefully. Now, is 78 pitches too careful? I don't know the answer to that because if we go back, it wasn't the blistering hot game that was played in the finale on Wednesday, but it was still plenty warm. It's still a factor. You get your innings count. You've got a relatively rested bullpen. But again, going to Dylan Floro, who gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs in his inning of work. The point of contention for a lot of people wasn't necessarily Floro himself. It was when he came in, they thought Ober should have got another inning, which I'm not going to argue with. Really can't. 78 pitches, another inning, you're looking at a minimum of 90, probably 92, 94 pitches. He had been ground down pretty good. Even if he pitches his average number of pitches per inning, he's about 93, 94 pitches for the game. So I'm not sure if they wanted to risk that. It also was a close game at the time. So I would suggest either you give Ober the whole inning or none of the inning. And if you can't guarantee he can get through the whole inning without his pitch count ramping up too much, you want that clean inning to go to a reliever. But then the problem is it's the 6th, so you're not going to really dive into your deep back-end bullpen guys, your Jacks, Stilbar, Duran quite yet. So you go to Floro, but then Floro gets into trouble. When do you go get him? Now, a lot of people were upset that they thought it became clear Floro didn't have it, and Rocco just kind of left him out there to die. Statistically, it would seem to back that up. But the other thing is, if you have a guy struggling in the 6th, who do you go get him with? You go get him with your big, bad Griffin Jacks, or you cut it off with Juan Duran at the pass? Honestly, I'm not really sure. Also, too, a lot of dinking and dunking. 80s, 70s, 60 mile per hour balls just kind of getting placed where the Twins weren't. It wasn't like Floro got blasted. It all kind of happened quickly. If you go get him, you're really screwing up your bullpen for the rest of the night. Granted, if it protects the lead, it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't protect the lead. But, if it's the 7th inning instead of the 6th, I think things are looked at a lot different in terms of, lifting Floro after, 3 batters if he's really struggling to either go get Thielbar, Duran, Jacks. Although then they're probably in the game in the first place. So again, it would have been nice if Ober could have gone another inning. If the Twins didn't want to push him into the mid-90s of pitches, they kind of had to take him out where they did. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to come across as a flimsy explanation to the people who are out there not happy with the decision. But again, it's uncharted waters with Ober, who has not been nearly healthy enough to be put into the meat grinder the way that I think a lot of people want him to. But, Wade Miley looked solid, has not struck many batters out, but lefty with a real good cutter, and the Twins just did not have much of an answer for that outside of Luplo and then Christian Vasquez homer. But, 3 runs on that one. Twins strike out only 9 times. Bigger issue, only 6 strikeouts for Twins pitchers and 7 walks. Oliver Ortega has no command whatsoever, but leaves with a back issue. And so that's a part of it too, where, the game was pretty much lost at that point. So it's not the end of the world, but again, frustrating that the Twins didn't get to their good bullpen guys to try to protect this lead. More frustrating yet, though, was in the finale, the Twins did get to their good bullpen guys. Emilio Pagan gets a hold for some reason for giving up 2 runs in the 6th because he held the lead, I guess. Still, though, 2-run homer given up. Caleb Thielbar gives up a homer. Griffin Jacks is good, and then Duran gives up a couple of runs. Neither earned because it's in extras with the man-for-man and all that. But so to go from not getting your guys in and losing to getting your guys in and losing, certainly not a great swing of emotions there. Again, not egregious, not criminal to lose back-to-back games to Milwaukee at home. They're 35-27 at home, 13 games over 500. They're a good ball club. They're a really good team. They are in first place by 3.5 in the Central. So in most ways, they're the NL Central version of the Twins, the team that everybody's kind of chasing, although granted, at least some of the other teams are over 500, which would be saying a lot for the AL Central. But yeah, not so much problematic that the Twins lost the game, just kind of how, because letting one get away from you that you lead the way they did with the Floral game in the opener hurts, but also two, blowing a lead late, going ahead in extras, and then still losing, just immensely frustrating in so many different ways. So not a lot to be encouraged about with this Brewers series, but again, onward and upward. Twins now 4 straight against the Rangers. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But first, on this day 10 years ago, the Twins lost 7-2 to Cleveland, moved Cleveland to 70-59, Twins to 57-71 at Progressive Field. Liam Hendricks, the losing pitcher for the Twins. At that point, he was 0-2, gave up 7 earned and a couple of homers, but he faced off against Zach McAllister, who wound up being actually a much better reliever for the Guardians moving forward. Brian Shaw, and then one of the most legendary names, Mark Zepchinski. Extra credit for anybody in the comments who can spell Zepchinski without looking it up. But some fun stuff from the Twins here. Chris Herman caught and hit second. This was into the post-Joe Mauer concussion days, so things got a little bit crazy here. Otherwise, Cleet Thomas in center field, Wilkin Ramirez a pinch hitter, Pedro Florimone, our good friend, playing short, and Ryan Presley throwing the last inning for the Twins. So some names to remember, but not a night to remember for the Twins on this one. 7-2 loss to Cleveland, August 24th, 2013. Now, our friends over at Sleeper would like to have a word, and if you want the chance to win more money with fewer picks, head to Sleeper. It's the #1 sports app where you can win up to 100 times your money with just 2 or more fantasy baseball picks. So if you think that, for instance, Jordan Luplow is going to go deep in tonight's game against a lefty, you can pick that. You can pick more RBIs, less RBIs, more strikeouts, less hits, etc., and get them right, and you can win big. Just stack them right up. Dynamic payouts are live. So in short, each player has a multiplier. Their projection is a multiplier attached to it. And so basically, based on the number of legs in a contest, determines how you're paid out. With dynamic payouts too, you also get more stat categories to place contests on, and you can get higher payouts than other apps with fewer picks. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. So run on over there, get the Sleeper app, check it out, and see if you are eligible in your state right now. And keep checking because they keep becoming more available as days go by. So again, use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit of the Sleeper app. Go check them out. All right, we're bringing it full circle here. Twins Rangers Thursday. It's the series opener at Target Field. Pablo Lopez. It is Pablo Day. It's a steamy Pablo Day against Southpaw Andrew Heaney. We'll have the full lowdown on Andrew Heaney and all the starting pitchers the Twins are lined up to face here in the Rangers series. But before that, you can catch every pitch of this Twins hometown broadcast With SiriusXM on the SXM app, you can hang out with Corey and Danny. Just search Twins. Texas Rangers coming in 3-7 over their last 10 and have dropped 6 straight. Now, of note in that, they have dropped 6 straight. Part of that was getting swept at the hands of the same Brewers team that just swept the Twins. Now, swept the Twins, granted, is 2 wins. They've won 5 in a row now and have definitely solidified their postseason standing. Meanwhile, the Rangers up a game in the AL West, playoff odds at 74.1, which is below Houston, according to ESPN, at 85.8. Seattle, 65.4. So it's a 3-horse race atop the West with the Rangers scuffling of late. Now, will the Twins be the team that can continue that stumble and tumble for the Rangers? Or will this be where the Rangers turn around and get things going again? I think I know how most of my listeners feel, but we'll have to take a look at it. The Rangers, in their 6 losses, have not fared well offensively or on the pitching side of things. Not terribly surprising, but sometimes one can outweigh the other. The Rangers are hitting a .195 as a team with a .580 OPS, and pitching-wise, 5.10 ERA, .150 WHIP. No strikeouts, too many walks. It's just been a really ugly stretch of baseball for the Rangers, and the Twins are hoping that doesn't continue. Now, the Twins are going to get some pretty tough pitching matchups. In fact, I'm going to make sure I have them here because we know Heaney is starting the opener against Pablo Lopez, but the next 3 are as follows. Sonny Gray against Dane Dunning. Joe Ryan is expected to start Saturday against Max Scherzer, and Bailey Ober against Jordan Montgomery in the finale on Sunday. So it is a couple of new guys on the back end, and Scherzer and Montgomery, both trade deadline acquisitions. But then Heaney and Dunning on the front end. So a couple of lefties for the Twins on the front end, and then a couple of new guys. I'm sorry, Dunning is a righty. I thought Dunning was a lefty. Montgomery is a lefty. So there will be 2 lefties, but they're going to be split up. But either way, Scherzer and Montgomery both recently joining the team and should be a real fun challenge. This is quite a Texas 2-step times 2, I guess, for guys they'll be facing. Now, I do want to get into Andrew Heaney, who the Twins are going to see on Thursday. Kind of like perpetually been available in off seasons and trade talks and stuff. And a lot of teams have wanted to gamble on the stuff. This is a guy who struck out 13.6 batters per 9 last year with the Dodgers. Has had trouble staying healthy. Kind of reminds me a little of Alex Wood, where the stuff is tantalizing, but it just never seems to all quite come together. Heaney sits 92, 93 with a fastball. 4-seamer usually makes a changeup and a slider. So basically, your very simple 3-pitch mix. Fastball has been solid this year. It's his highest graded pitch according to Fangraphs, and so we'll see how Twins hitters fare against it, because they've struggled, of course, with lefties this year. And I don't think they've hit fastballs quite as well as they have in the past either. And as we look, opposing batters are hitting 213 off Heaney's fastball this year, which is, compared to his career rate of 240. Last year was 228. Year before that, 270. So he's going to live and die by his 4-seam. He's going to mix and match that slider. He's going to mix and match that changeup. But he's going to get you with the fastball. And the slider is not as swing and miss heavy this year. So he's having a decent enough year, but it's not the kind of game where it would be all that surprising to see the Twins pop a couple of homers and just, kind of go from there. Quick news hit as we're recording here. Oliver Ortega going on the IL. Jordan Balazovic is coming back to the Twins. So certainly not listening to this live, but if you haven't heard that yet, now you know. Balazovic coming back and Ortega on the IL with left lumbar strain. All right, let's get back to breaking down these Rangers, though. So Heaney, we all kind of know, we've seen before. Dane Dunning was part of the trade that sent Lance Lynn from the Rangers to the White Sox. Dunning's numbers are solid this year. Sub 4 ERA, actually 3.19. But he's not striking anybody out. He's getting some grounders, but not as many as you'd expect for a guy who's kept his numbers down. So 3.19 ERA, 6.85 strikeouts per nine, and 47.1% ground ball rate. So to explain strikeout rate, you're usually looking in the 8s for average. And when a guy doesn't strike out a lot of guys, he's usually going to walk a lot of guys to keep that ERA down. Or he's going to get a lot of, he's going to not strike out a lot of guys, not walk a lot of guys. He's going to need a lot of grounders to make up the difference. 47.1% is only about 2% over average. So Dunning is not as scary as the numbers look. And, repertoire-wise, it's going to be kind of the kitchen sink. He's got a fastball that has been just exceptional this year that sits about 90 miles per hour, and then a cut fastball. Those have been his two best pitches, and not particularly close. I'm going to pull up some data on them just to make sure that I fully contextualize how he's averaging 89, 90, 91 with his sinker, and opposing batters have a 235 average and a 635 OPS against it. Cutter, 656. The only pitch he's really getting hit hard on is his changeup, 803 OPS. Otherwise, he just mixes and matches with a sinker slider, gets enough swing and miss to keep guys off his sinker. The slider's a decent swing and miss pitch. But again, not going to be imposing, so wouldn't be surprising if the Twins knock him around, but if they don't, again, it's the same Twins we've seen all season long. Scherzer getting the start. More things change the more they stay with him. He'll be 40 here coming up next year, and he's been a little more home run prone. But a lot of the issues he dealt with in New York have not appeared in Texas. He's been almost a 1 win on FanGraphs pitcher to this point with the Rangers at 0.9. That's as much as he was worth in 19 starts with the Mets, as he has 4 starts with the Rangers. So for whatever reason, things have turned around for him as he's gotten to Texas. Consummate competitor on the mound. 93, 94, 95 with the fastball. Kind of where he's been for the bulk of his career. So the Twins are really going to go into that one needing to compete, and we'll see if they're capable of it. But Joe Ryan as an adversary, if the good Joe Ryan shows up, we could really see a strong matchup there on Saturday. And then finally, Jordan Montgomery, lefty. Twins haven't seen a ton of him in the past, and again, having a really nice season. He does kind of that 8 strikeouts per 9, 2 walks per 9, league average ground ball rate kind of thing to keep things in check. And he does it well. He does it really, really well. He's ramped up the strikeouts, grounders, and lowered the walks in his 4 starts with Texas too. So this is going to be, for my money, the most difficult challenge of the series. Scherzer's got the name, but man, Montgomery has just been so good. You add in the fact that he's left-handed, and I really, really don't like the Twins' chances in the finale. But, if you haven't seen Montgomery yet, decent fastball velocity for a lefty. It's, 93, 94. He'll throw mostly sinkers. He's a sinker, changeup, curveball guy. So, he'll see what he brings to the table as far as velo and stuff and, the mix and match and all that. But for my money, Montgomery is going to be the toughest matchup in this series. The Rangers this month have been just fantastic across the board, which underscores how good they were before this 6-game losing streak. But if you look at them in August, 779 team OPS, 299 team ERA, they're 12-8. So before this 6-game skid, they were 12-2. So they're prone for hot and cold streaks. Twins certainly hoping to stay on the back end of this cold streak rather than on the front end of the next hot one. Now, 20 years ago today, Johan Santana beat Graham Lloyd. If you don't know much about Graham Lloyd, look him up. He was one of a couple Australian players in the big leagues at that time. Dave Nilsson was the other. I had to think about a catcher slash, I think he played a little outfield for the Brewers back in those days. But they had a couple of Aussies back then, and by this time the Aussie had made his way to the Royals. Well, he took the loss, but it was Kevin Apier, Jason Grimsley, and then for the Twins, Johan Santana, J.C. Romero, and Juan Rincon. That ended up being a pretty big back end of that bullpen with Romero and Rincon at times, and we all know what Santana became. But this was 2003, so it was the year before he broke out. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, so can't say we didn't see it coming, but really, really solid effort by Santana in this one. Twins improved to 67-63 with this 8-1 win at the Dome. Royals 67-62, so they maintained a half-game lead. Twins end up winning the division by storming to the end of the 2003 season. But 20 years ago, Johan Santana wins, Graham Lloyd loses, and on the Twins offense, Torrey Hunter takes Kevin Apier deep in the second inning. So again, always fun to remember some guys. Now, thanks for hanging out. That's a wrap for this edition of Locked On Twins. Thanks for hanging out with us, and check out @Brandon_Warren, @Locked On Twins on Twitter. Give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Give us that thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. Check back tomorrow. We will be talking to Lane Adams about everything, but most importantly, the 2020 summer camp over at St. Paul during the COVID-shortened MLB season that year. So again, we're really looking forward to that. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is Brandon Warren signing off, saying thank you so much for hanging out with us, and don't forget to stop by tomorrow.